Welcome to Cinemas. I hope you're having a great day. Today, I'm walking you through a horror story of Vicious. Spoilers ahead. Imagine opening your door on a freezing winter night to help a lost old woman, only to realize she didn't come for help. She came to hand you a death sentence, a curse that promises you will die before morning unless you complete 3 horrifying sacrifices. So, grab your popcorn and let's break this down from beginning to end. The film begins with Polly, a 32-year-old woman who looks emotionally shattered. She is crying while speaking to a young girl, saying she has tried everything to fix her life, but nothing ever changes. At first, this scene feels disconnected from the rest of the story, but it later becomes the key to understanding everything. The story shifts to an earlier time, showing Polly living alone in a quiet suburban house that actually belongs to her older sister, Lainey. Lainey moved away with her husband and daughter, Allie, leaving Polly there by herself. The house feels empty and neglected, reflecting her state of mind. Through voice messages and her surroundings, we learn she struggles to keep jobs, isolates herself from others, and has been emotionally stuck for years following her father's death. One bitter winter night, the doorbell rings. Outside stands an elderly woman who appears lost, confused, and freezing. She says she has no phone, but remembers her son's number and just needs help calling him. Feeling sympathy, Polly invites her inside. The woman seems polite and harmless at first, but Polly soon notices something deeply unsettling. 2 of the woman's fingers are missing, and the wounds look fresh. The woman studies the house carefully, especially the family photographs, as if searching for something. Without explanation, the woman removes a small wooden box from her suitcase and places it on the table. Inside is an hourglass filled with sand. She then tells Polly that she will die tonight. Polly assumes the woman is unstable and demands she leave. As Polly forces her outside, the woman suddenly calls her by name, despite never being introduced. Before disappearing into the darkness, she whispers that it feels like a nightmare that never ends, and that Polly will never wake up. Moments later, the woman is gone, but the wooden box remains outside in the road. Shaken, Polly calls her mother, who dismisses the encounter as stress or medication affecting her judgment. However, strange things begin happening almost immediately. Shadows move in empty rooms. Polly smells her mother's perfume, despite being alone. Most disturbingly, the wooden box somehow appears back inside the house. When she opens it, the hourglass is there, its sand completely still. Her phone rings. It shows her mother's number, but the voice on the other end quickly reveals itself to be something else. The entity knows intimate details about Polly's life, her failures, her loneliness, her inability to maintain relationships or stability. It calmly tells her she will die tonight unless she completes 3 tasks. She must place into the box something she hates, something she needs, and something she loves. The entity warns that it sees everything and she must not lie. Polly first places her cigarettes in the box, believing she hates her addiction. Nothing happens. Moments later, she begins choking violently and vomits up a key, as if her body is punishing her for lying. Terrified, she runs to a neighbor's house for help. A woman answers and initially seems concerned, but suddenly becomes hostile, injures herself with a knife, and declares that no one will help Polly because the entity is everywhere. Realizing escape is impossible, Polly returns home. Remembering her father's death and the faith she lost afterward, she finds a cross hidden away in her closet and places it in the box. This time, it disappears, confirming the sacrifice is accepted. She's given up something she truly hates, her broken faith and unresolved grief. The second task begins almost immediately. The house becomes openly hostile. Mirrors crack, reflections move independently, and disturbing images appear on the television showing severed fingers. Polly realizes the entity wants part of her body. Believing her niece Allie is in danger, she cuts off her own toe in desperation, but the box rejects it. The entity reveals she misunderstood. It wanted a finger. With no other option, Polly cuts off one of her own fingers and places it in the box. The lights go out, and the finger disappears. This explains why the old woman earlier had missing fingers. She'd once endured the same ordeal. For the final sacrifice, something she loves, the entity leads Polly to her sister's house. Inside, she finds Lainey and Allie lying motionless, appearing dead or unconscious. The entity calls again, now using Allie's voice, telling Polly she must give up what she loves most. Polly believes she must kill her niece to survive. With trembling hands, she approaches Allie with a knife. Unable to harm her, Polly instead cuts a lock of Ali's hair and places it in the box as a symbol of love. The hair disappears, and Polly believes the ordeal is over. But suddenly, Ali transforms into something monstrous and stabs Polly. She wakes back at her own house as if nothing happened, the box and hourglass still on the table. Realizing she may never escape, Polly begins placing other items inside: jewelry, personal belongings, even her blood. But the hourglass keeps resetting. At one point, a terrifying hand reaches out from the box and grabs her, proving the entity is still there. Desperate, Polly concludes that the only way to survive is to pass the curse to someone else, just as the old woman tried to do to her. She runs through the neighborhood, knocking on doors, until a young girl named Thera lets her in. Polly repeats the same broken words from the beginning, places the box on the table, and tells the girl she will die tonight. The cycle has begun again. Later, the old woman reappears and reveals she too was trapped, forced to continue passing the curse because the box never truly releases anyone. She explains that it seems to choose people who are already emotionally broken and feeds on their fear. During a struggle, Polly kills the woman in self-defense. As she dies, the woman says she once opened her door to someone just like Polly, and after that night, no one ever knocked again. Polly eventually realizes that fear itself is what empowers the entity. Instead of panicking, she sits calmly and watches the hourglass run out. Morning arrives, and everything appears normal. Her sister and niece are alive, and the nightmare seems over. Polly believes she has survived. However, when she goes to check on Thera, the horrifying truth is revealed. Blood messages cover the walls. Thera's fingers are missing. Her parents lie dead. The box is still active, and the curse has simply moved to its next victim. The cycle continues exactly as before. The film suggests that the true horror is not just supernatural, but psychological.